right. Thank you all so much for joining this morning. Welcome back. I know some schools have started. My son's in year round, so he's been in for a few weeks, and then other folks are just kind of coming back. And you may or may not have students on your campus, Alamance Burlington School System. Good morning, everyone. Yes, you can go ahead and put where you are in the chat, and we are excited to kick off a second year of virtual coffee breaks with CFNC. And we'll have much of the same format as we have had before. If you are joining us for the first time, if you weren't able to attend any last year, this is kind of what we do each morning. Not each morning, but once a month. Second Wednesday of each month at 9 o'clock, we meet you here. Yeah, so we kind of kick it off with a welcome, and I have a couple updates to give everyone if there's anything going on. And then we are going to move over to our spotlight topic and some questions, and we're going to do brewing success after. So that's one switch, and see kind of where we are. Hopefully you have your coffee with you this morning or tea. Yeah, so I'm April Cleary. I'm the CFNC Assistant Vice President of College Access and Community Outreach, and get to work with our wonderful outreach team across the state, as well as all of you. So we're excited to have you again to kick off our second year. So a couple of updates for everyone before we kick off with our spotlight topic and speaker. Obviously, this schedule is out. So we went ahead and scheduled this out for the entire year with topics. Of course, things could change, but hoping that 90–95% of it doesn't change. So cfnc.org/events is going to be your place to find programming and to find virtual events like this that you can attend, including all kinds of C2C stuff. So Countdown to College, a college application week, CFNC, we are your host for that. And our Education Professional Month will kick off in September. I believe this is our third annual, I believe. And we have lots of great programming out there available for you all to join virtually with CEUs also. So definitely check that out and register if you have not yet. Site registration is also open for C2C, so feel free to check that out as well. I have links on here that are embedded, so I will share this PowerPoint out so everyone has it. But you can also go to cfnc.org/C2C and find information there for site registration. And we also have site coordinator training out. So I do 2 of those, 30 minutes each, very quick. And it's just basic overviews. If you are new to being a site coordinator or haven't done it in a while, or sometimes we do the same thing, right? We do it every year and you think, you know what, a refresher probably would be fine. So we've got 2 of those coming up as well. So you'll have all of that in this email. And we are kicking off free coffee for your office again this year. So every month we randomly select one person with their office, student services office, whatever it might be, to have coffee. So we normally will send a gift card. Sometimes we'll have one of our folks actually drop it off. We are just asking one extra thing this year. So snap a picture, enjoying your coffee. Could be one person, could be the whole office having your coffee. And put on social media, #CFNC Virtual Coffee Break. We try to touch on some really great topics each month with these. So just spreading the word. We're also adding CEUs for attending the live. So we're just doing synchronous right now, maybe asynchronous coming later, but synchronous right now. It's not a lot, right? These typically are 45 minutes, but we are going to make them available for an hour if anyone needs to stay on and ask questions or anything. So it's going to be 0.1 CEUs. Give us a week and we'll get those out. And I wanted to make sure everyone knew that we are realigning our regions in North Carolina. So the State Board of Education, DPI, folks have 8 regions, and we have historically always had 7 in alignment with area codes, and we have moved to 8. Well, we are slowly moving to 8. There's no snap of the finger and it changes. It's going to be a slow process over the fall and winter, but we are excited because that means we will have 8 folks. And actually, Brittany Privet, who's going to take the stage here in just a minute, she probably has the biggest changes in her region because this is going to be adding Sandhills, whereas Brittany got to have Southeast and Sandhills before, really. So it's Southeast. So we will have a new member come aboard soon to cover Sandhills. So we're looking forward to having that change with our outreach team. And also just make sure everyone saw it. Student aid did come out and announce that the FAFSA form will open December 1st for the 25-26 FAFSA form. So we have a date. And keep an eye on your emails and the studentaid.gov website, because I believe they're going to have some materials out in October for folks to kind of take a look and start familiarizing yourself. So lots of updates as we dig into our new school year. Again, let us know where you are in the chat. I'll be monitoring it. But we wanted to kick off this season specifically with talking about best practices when marketing and advertising and holding student service events. So this hopefully is timely as you are working on planning programming for students and parents, and we're thinking through family attendance. We're thinking through how we can make sure that our families are getting the information that you have that they need to have. So I am going to mute myself for a minute and pass it over to Brittany Privet. Brittany is one of our esteemed associate outreach directors here at CFNC, covering the Southeast region. So thank you for joining us, Brittany. She's had a lot of successes and done some really neat and creative things.
Thank you so much, April. And thank you all for joining us this morning. Again, my name is Brittany Privet. I am joining you from Wilmington this morning. My territory is kind of in flux, but if you're in the Sandhills, I'm your person until we have our new person hired. And if you are from Wilmington all the way up to Wayne County, I am your person moving forward with this school year. But when it comes to parent engagement, that's a huge part of the work that we do as CFNC Associate Outreach Directors. And it's also a huge part of what you all do as high school counselors, nonprofit, college access people. We're here to make sure that students and families have what they need to make informed decisions about their post-secondary plans. So when it comes to parent engagement, making sure that we kick off the school year with communicating with parents about what expectations are and learning what their needs are is extremely important. So a couple of tips that I've learned along the way and things that I've learned over the summer when it comes to planning sessions and things like that. One thing that I've found to be really interesting is that some counselors actually send out a parent survey, be it on Google Forms or SurveyMonkey or whatever you use to figure out where parents are in the process. I think a lot of students and families are in different places in the race when it comes to post-secondary planning, and they don't know what they don't know. So getting a gauge of where they are in the process is really important. So asking questions about parents' highest education level, but also asking what their knowledge is of the process is important. I think a lot of us assume that we really need to put all of our efforts into first generation students because those are the students who may not have the information that they need going into college or post-secondary education. But if you're anything like me, things have changed a lot since I started college in 2007. So I definitely think it's imperative that we also gauge where parents are in the process, even if they went to college, asking about the FAFSA form and what their understanding is about the FAFSA, asking what they think their student wants to do after high school and what they may need when it comes to supporting them will help you plan your events and your parent engagement moving forward with the school year. That being said, when you start to plan these events, advertising is extremely important, and you have to meet students and families where they are. So we all know that parents are on Facebook, students are on TikTok, and there is a little overlap, but making sure that we're advertising on all platforms, including LinkedIn, Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, now X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You don't have to be dancing in your driveway pointing to different calendar events on TikTok. However, having information available to students and families where they are, either on social media, via email, old-fashioned paper newsletters to make sure they know what events are coming up It's also really nice to have a schedule of events at the beginning of the school year already ironed out for the school year. I work very closely with Onslow County, and we have a schedule already ironed out for the entire school year. We call it our parent academies, and students and families can pop in either virtually or in person, depending on the event. Sometimes we do both. So if we have an in-person event, we really try to make sure that we have a virtual option to make sure that students and families are able to engage, whether they can come in person or they just need to log on. If you're planning on having a series of online events or virtual events, one thing that we've learned is keeping the same link to log on to those events can be really helpful. That way people aren't scrambling to figure out what the login is and if there's a Zoom password or anything like that. Having a standard link for the school year for all parent academies, we found to be really successful. Also laying out expectations in the very beginning. So these are events to help you and your students and families plan, but we also want to make sure that students and families know kind of the time commitment that they have. So keeping events to an hour or shorter, or letting them know that the event may run long is really important ahead of time. We want to be respectful of student and families' time, because a lot of us are working and may have different schedules. So if a parent is showing up to your event, they are doing that at the sacrifice of possibly another event or their free time. So making sure that we know the expectations ahead of time is really important. The last tip I have for you right now before we kind of open it up for discussion would be to make sure that the events are engaging. So making sure that we are including students and families in these events, and it's not just I'm talking at a PowerPoint, including things like, why did I just lose the name? Kahoot. Including things like Kahoot and interactive polls. I like to start all of my events with college trivia to get everybody on the same page. I have prizes and things like that. But making sure it's interactive and that students and families feel a part of the process, and that they're being talked to and not talked at, or talked with and not talked at, is really important. So surveying students and families at the beginning, getting a gauge of what they need and what they want, and what they don't know, making sure that you advertise in multiple ways, also making sure that they know a calendar ahead of time so they can plan accordingly around sports, things like that, and making these events engaging will definitely help your events be more successful. If anybody has any questions or wants to add anything, I know Glow Academy is on and they always have very well attended events. Even FAFSA night is super well attended, which in this work, I've never met anybody that was excited to do their FAFSA, but they all come in super excited and engaged. Does anybody have any other tips that they want to share?
Perfect. And you guys can go ahead and put them in the chat if you have some. We would love to have, more thoughts and what everyone has got going on. While folks maybe are thinking through the chat, I want to share a couple of other things. And also all of the great tips that Brittany mentioned, when I send out an email this morning to everyone with a follow-up and this, PowerPoint, I'm going to make sure that I have them all bulleted in there as well. We don't always have to make it complicated, right, to kind of boost attendance and boost interest. I know that for a lot of us, we struggle with attendance, right, at a lot of these programs. And I really, really love Brittany's first tip that she offered with the parent survey, because if the first thing we can do is get an understanding of where our families are at, then it's not so much trying to chase down to figure out why people aren't coming to an evening program. There's so many reasons that they might come or might not come. So I wanted to share a couple of these as well. So we have a marketing manager here at College Foundation, and she was previously at NC State, and she's very, very, very good with thinking through, simple ways to help spread the word for programs. So obviously, step one is figuring out, as Brittany said, where the parents are at in this whole process. What's their knowledge of the process? What have they been through before? And again, not just necessarily first gen, but it might be someone who's been, 20 years, 15, 20 years since they went through the process themselves, right? And so they aren't first gen, but that doesn't mean that they, have any idea of what's happening right now. We have somebody in the chat who's asking if there's a parent survey they'd be willing to share. So if anyone does have one, if you can't kind of share it here, please feel free to shoot me an email, and I can always share it with the group. And I'm going to go ahead and put my email in again so folks have it, as well as Brittany's. There we go. Okay, so you guys talk amongst yourselves. Feel free to kind of be in the chat. We have these very laid back on purpose so that folks can share stuff with each other. So I'm going to go over a couple of these and then check the chat out again and see where we are, okay? So Brittany talked about this, but make sure you're using digital platforms like Instagram to spread the word. Again, and for me personally, to make a video where I've got the thought bubbles and I'm pointing, that's probably going to take me half a day to get all that figured out, right? We don't have, other people might be able to do that in 20 minutes. It takes me a minute, but I could definitely take a camera, right, and put it in reverse and walk out in front of the school and do something, or go into the space where we're going to have the program. You know, you can definitely make it a little more engaging as far as that goes. Don't forget about simple things like posters and digital school bulletin boards if you have those. Incentives. Incentives are great, and we don't always have to be huge with the incentives. Sometimes it could be something as simple as prom tickets, you know, graduation tickets, right? Families are always trying to get more of those. Could be something relatively simple like that is in your realm of what you can do. And don't forget to partner with community organizations, other community organizations. So, you know, you may be able to partner with them for locations, libraries, for example, other college access organizations, or to help get the word out. Or consider, you know, having a conversation with your chamber and see if they have any options as far as helping with gift cards to help, you know, incentivize some items students might need to help kind of as they're getting ready to go off to college. And then also, don't forget, we have our amazing college partners across the state. And they can maybe send goodies, but you got to kind of ask early. And don't forget to get your students involved in that. You can have some of your student influencers or students just in general on your campus, you know, take part and do some of that do some of that to help get some of the you know, tchotchkes in, right? The different things that can be fun that you can share and offer as prizes and incentivizing back. So Brittany has shared an example of last year's Onslow County Parent Academies in here, and I am going to make sure that I share that as well when I send the information out and send the PowerPoint out, so that's great. I'm going to stop for just a second and let Brittany chime in. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Another thing that I've found post-COVID is that food is very touch and go. It used to be if you fed them, they will come. That is not necessarily the case anymore, just due to people being a little more aware of germs and communal food and things like that. So know your audience. I have some schools that actually have food trucks that come to parent nights so that parents and families can order what they want. I even have a school in Brunswick County who has a parent who owns a food truck and has donated food at a much lower cost. So if you attend a parent night or a student information night, you get a raffle ticket and you can go get a free meal. That has been really helpful. I will also say that a lot of times people are bringing their entire family to these events. So making sure that students and their siblings are occupied during these events is really important, because we all know that bringing a 3-year-old to a FAFSA night is not always the quietest kind of event. So I've had an event where we had a coloring corner where we had colored pencils, pens, markers, and all of that stuff in paper at a separate table for little kids to go and color and hang out. In my research, I've found that a lot of schools have coloring pages. So when it comes to alumni associations and universities, you can always Google college coloring pages. If you want to keep with that college theme, you can print out different coloring pages from Chapel Hill, East Carolina, schools. I believe Lenore Ryan has coloring pages. But to keep everybody occupied and engaged at whatever level they're at is really important to make sure that families know that they can come as a family and get what they need. Sometimes there will be a volunteer from the counseling office to watch children in another room or have a partition in the room so that young kids can go and hang out and have engaging activities during these events so that families don't have to work out childcare is really have seen to be really helpful. But also incentives, like April said, yearbooks, prom tickets, cap and gowns, things like that, things that students are going to either need or want, can really help them help and boost attendance at these events.
That's great. And we do have some crayons here also at CFNC. So we administer the 529 College Savings Program, or Education Savings Program, sorry, for the state. So you can always order crayons from us for free as well, like Brittany said. So those options are awesome for the younger students. And don't forget too, if you have community colleges, that you're working with, a lot of them have early childhood education programs, and those students, excuse me, those students do have to get hours in, right, where they're kind of practicing what they're going to do. And so it's another option to see if you can get a couple students to come, and the students who are in those early childhood education programs, see if they can come and, do coloring and activities with students, maybe in a separate corner of the space. So lots of tips, I think, to see, and it's definitely not a one size fits all. So hopefully there are at least one or two things that Brittany mentioned. We've got the parent survey that was sent, perhaps something that I might have added in that will work, right? We can try something. This is all trial and error, but it's important, right? Because we always say we've got information that folks need. We just need to meet them where they are and figure out how they can hear it, right? How can we make sure that they get the information that they need? So please continue to put some stuff in the chat if you would like. And I would really love to maybe towards the end of the school year, have this be a little mini topic at one of these to see if anything worked, if anyone was able to add in something to help boost attendance, or maybe it's not attendance, maybe it's just making sure the families get the information one way or another. And don't forget that we do have the option to go to them, right? It's hard because you guys already have 47,000 things to do and 450 students per educator, per counselor to handle, right? But that's another option, right? If there's an employer in your area that's a big employer, maybe the biggest in that school district, I'm sure the HR office would be willing to work with you to kind of take a program there, and your local college, especially community college or four-year school, whatever it is, would probably work with you to help put something like that together. So hopefully we can help. If you have any other questions as far as those go, we are always here to help brainstorm, make something happen, whatever it might be. So as I mentioned before, we're changing the format just a bit. We wanted to do the coffee break with Constance here after our spotlight speaker. So if you have not joined before, what we do each month is we have a video from Constance Hollingsworth Pierce, who is our Pro Tools guru, and she has a different topic every month, usually aligned with what we're talking about, and sometimes not, because there's just not a perfect kind of alignment there. So I am going to play the video, I believe. See if we got it here.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We welcome you back to a school year. We welcome you back to your 5 minutes Pro Tools learning with Constance. And again, welcome back. We're so happy to be able to serve you another year. So today, I want to start with some of our foundational information leading to Pro Tools and to get you Pro Tools help. So I wanted to start on our CFNC.org page, show you how to get to our educational professionals page. And so when you are on CFNC.org, you're going to click on Education Professional. Here, you will have a plethora of information there just for you, an array of tools and resources to help guide you through CFNC pages and also Pro Tools. On the side, you will see CFNC Pro Tools. I'm going to take a click there. This is one way that you can get to your Pro Tools when you have your username, have your password set up, and email me, and we have you set up in Pro Tools to access your Pro Tools here. One other amazing tip, if you just scroll down a little bit and you want to make sure that you get Pro Tools, don't have it, as a reminder, if you have requested Pro Tools, I'm down to 0 tickets. But I have 30 pending tickets. Some of those have been purged because we had more, but we purged them. So what happens is, when you complete the online request form, we receive it. But before I receive it, our system sends you an email back that says, please confirm your account. Because we're dealing with student private information, we have to make sure our security services are there. So when you complete it, you automatically receive an email back saying, please just respond back confirm. If you do not respond back confirm or respond with an email back to that system, the email never comes to me. So make sure you're checking your spam if you send in an email asking for us to go to the access. Please make sure that you check your spam or just send us another email and we'll follow up. There are some systems who have us blocked initially, so if you just send me an email, I can call you and we can walk through it and we can get Pro Tools access because we want you to have it. So while you're also here, one other tool that's going to be helpful for you this year is Pro Tools Help. So when you're in education and professional page, yes, Pro Tools Help. Why is this page a good page? Pro Tools Help. It mimics Pro Tools. This is one way that you can find out all of the wonderful things, all the wonderful tools in Pro Tools, and it also has videos. So if you look, it looks the same way in Pro Tools. It has dashboards, citizen groups, college reports, career reports, customer reports, and administration. So when I click on customer reports, I want to know more about transcript tracking. We give you all of that information here. So it is at your fingertips. Pro Tools Help is here to help you this semester. We'll be doing some updating to make sure that Pro Tools matches Pro Tools Help, but I promise you it's one helpful tool for you this year. If you need anything again, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I will make sure that you have what you need. Again, we're here to help. Right here on the home page, see, you can submit a request right here. If you do that, it comes directly to my department. We will take a look at it, and we will get a response back to you in a timely manner. I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful school year.
Awesome. Thank you, Constance.
Welcome back.
Well, and once I get us.
Welcome back.
Welcome back again, guys. All right. We had a little bit more conversation in the chat with Brittany sharing some resources from State Employees Credit Union. So that's another good option. You know, they're there to help their families in the community. They do a lot of really interesting things, especially as it pertains to financial literacy. So there's a link in the chat that takes you to their page where they have their community impact, programming and such. And, they're really nice to work with to help with a lot of things. So we have a lot of resources here to help you all. And just a couple follow-ups from Constance's video. And I will also make sure that I send out in the email her, the outreach email address for Pathways to reach Constance. But make sure that you all can access your Pro Tools account, especially before we get into October, because as you heard her say, she currently has no tickets except for 30 or so that are kind of out there on hold. But that will change the closer we get to college application week. That will change drastically. So I would just advise you to make sure you can log in, make sure you have your account information handy, that nothing lapsed, and then if there's any issues with accessing, that you reach out to her sooner rather than later so that it can be handled, hopefully more quickly. So I just want to pause for a second before we talk a little bit about next year and the rest of the year to see if anyone had anything else they wanted to put in the chat related to these programs and Constance's video, if there's anything else that Brittany wanted to add before we start to wrap up for today.
Sure. I think my biggest thing is you're not alone in this process. So reach out to your community partners. You do not have to do this on your own. So even if I can't make an event, I'm always happy to share slides, give tips, and things like that. At CFNC, we are not gatekeepers of information. We want to make sure that students and families have enough information to, again, make an informed decision about what they do after high school. So if there's anything we can do to help you or connect you with community partners at your local community college or places like the State Employees Credit Union, please reach out. We just want to make sure that you know you're not on an island with this, and this is definitely, parent engagement is all of our responsibilities. So we are happy to partner with you moving forward, even if it's just through email, to make sure that your events are successful. So good luck with the school year. We're excited to be there right along with you.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. And I couldn't have said it better. There's only one person per region, right? And on our team, but we do have lots of other folks that we can work with and connect you to, provide you some resources, so we're here to help, even if Brittany or whoever it is, whoever your associate outreach director is, can't actually physically get there. We'll do what we can. So a couple reminders today. One is we will, yes, I know, that's so great. I was looking at the comments. Yeah, some good tips. Yeah, the annual calendar, and hopefully this is a good time to do that and be more intentional. And that's something that we're working on as well, right? So we're excited. Be sure if you end up being the winner for our virtual coffee break here, take a picture of you guys enjoying your coffee, please, and share on your social media site, tag us, CFNC Virtual Coffee Break. We have started CEUs. They'll be mailed to you in about a week. Our wonderful Kate Freeland, who is our outreach assistant, typically handles those, and she is out on vacation until Friday. But she'll get those to you ASAP. And thank you. I know I put a couple things in the chat. If there's anyone else that heard something today that you want to give a go, that you're excited to try, that maybe we haven't done before, feel free to throw it in the chat. So, it's an exciting time of year to get some things organized, think through how we can do things better. We have a lot of schools like Glow that do a fabulous job. And we can share the wealth with each other, right? And what we're doing that works and what we did that didn't work, right? How did we get to the space that we figured out what worked? Because probably did not just wake up one morning and just, figure it all out, right? And then we have somebody who's never used Kahoot before. So it's fun. There's different things we can do, and keeping stuff short, like we try to keep these short, is helpful because everyone is so busy. And we have lots more programming coming as the year goes. So in September, I have a picture of tea there. Have not forgotten you tea drinkers that don't do the coffee. In September, we're going to talk a little bit about Countdown to College. We're going to talk about some year-long events that we are working on as well, that will help kind of as we, go through the year. And we are hoping to CFNC.org/events. That's what I want to show everybody too. We are hoping to kind of have the C2C be more of an umbrella to different events that go year long, right? Because the Countdown to College is not just in October, and we recognize that. We're working on making sure that we have some different events, even if it's toolkits, something kind of simple that we can share with you all to help as you go through your year. Okay, so one thing I want to show you before we end today is cfnc.org/events. Okay, so this is our event page. There'll be more coming on here. This is usually where our virtual events happen, our statewide virtual events. So right now we have a couple things. We have virtual coffee break with CFNC. Make sure that it's still sharing the right one. Yes, it is. So this is our current schedule of what we have for topics. Okay? Again, things are subject to change, but we were thoughtful in this calendar of events. So we are going to have a session that is just on folks' top 3 questions as it relates to RDS and mixed status families. Again, we could probably talk about that for a couple hours, but we're going to keep it short and just kind of think through what are the top 3 questions. We're going to have a program on finding North Carolina-based scholarships. Okay, so again, just that. We have someone who's going to come talk to us about FELS, the Forgivable Education Loans for Service. We are going to, in January, kick off talking about school counselor websites. And having that separate page where you're providing scholarship information, deadlines, whatever it might be. So we will have some folks to come on and show theirs across the state, some best practices and some tips to kind of help that. In February, we will have Constance Hollingsworth Pierce be our spotlight speaker, and she's just going to really talk about next steps for high school juniors. And she is going to be our spotlight speaker again in March, and we're going to have a month where the spotlight speaker, we're just talking about Pro Tools. We want to make sure everyone knows about our great financial literacy games, some 529 basics, and talk about fighting summer melt there. Okay, the other thing I want to show you real quick, again, this is at cfnc.org/events, is we have our Countdown to College Education Professionals Month out. Registration is open. We'll offer CEUs. We're going to kick off the month with celebrating victories and planning new ones. So let's talk a little bit about our wins that we've had in North Carolina, because we're doing great work. You all are doing great work. So let's take a minute and recognize that. We're going to have another one where we focus on Pro Tools. And then we've changed up our topics a little bit. So we have the top 3 frequently asked questions that students typically encounter during college application week, and we have one that's the same for you. We have a session that'll be on RDS. We're going to take more of a practitioner side to RDS this year, where we talk about not just a few updates, but also, what are some tips in making sure that families are hopefully getting that process done before they come in for college application week. And then we have a program that'll be understanding financial aid for middle income families. So we have some really great stuff lined up. So we are excited to come with that starting in September. It's going to be here before we know it. We have another great school year that has kicked off. Thank you all so much for what you do. We could not thank you enough. You all are amazing. And so we just really, really appreciate it. So once again, I'm going to send out an email to everyone with all the great tips that Brittany mentioned and some things we've had in the chat. If anyone else has any other parent survey examples, feel free to shoot them over to me, and I can include those also. So great tips, and we will see you in September, second Wednesday of the month at 9 a.m. And so that will be September 11th. Yes, September 11th at 9 a.m. So have a wonderful school year. We appreciate you all, and enjoy your coffee, drink lots of it, or your tea, and we will see you next month. Thank you all again. Bye, everyone.